So Arsenal 1, Newcastle 0. No Pressure FC beat Newcastle, Kenny. When the pressure was on, we absolutely melted and they won a cup out of the back of it. Starting the game off today, if Isak and Joel Linton were playing, we probably would have been buried by flipping 20 minutes in because we were an absolute shambles in that first 20 minutes. Got through to half time. Second half, Newcastle were a shambles. We got a goal. Lovely finish from Declan. Amazing what happens when you shoot first time instead of trying to play 50 passes around the box. But ultimately, Kenny, it's all for nothing yet again. And at the end of the game, obviously you wouldn't have seen it because you was at the game. At the end of the game, if you go back and watch some of the footage, after the full-time whistle went, Saliba looks out of here, mate. Yeah, Ethan, he looked bored. Yeah, Skelly looked pissed off. Kieran Tierney looked fuming. Not one of them four smiled, Kenny, They were all seething and angry.
I concur. I beg to differ because what's happened is that you only saw that on TV. We saw it in real time. In real time, when the players came out, Kieran Tierney towards the end didn't join in with the families. He just went to the touchline. Saliba didn't have his family out there with him. Saliba was already dressed in his trainers and tracksuit and everything. I don't know what was wrong with him. I don't know if it was tactical or not, but Saliba looked to me like he doesn't want to be here at this football club. And Gabriel Magalhaes don't look too happy either. But even Nwaneri, it tells a full picture. You think about the situation where Saka's gone off, Odegaard's gone off, and you see psychologically he covered for both of those players. Not psychologically, actually, factually he did. Like, for instance, when Saka was out of the team, he played the right-hand side. When Odegaard was out of the team, he deputised in that position. Now, Saka goes off. Who does he bring on? Kieran. He brings on Havertz. When Martin goes off, who does he bring on? Jorginho. Yeah. What's going on here? Did
giving them their farewell?
Yeah, I know he's giving them their farewell. But what was?
And we still had one sub left as well, by the way.
Yeah, that's the thing. What was so bad about Brentford? Now, I dug him out, and I've dug Nwaneri out a few times where positionally he hasn't been where he should be. But that is no reason to drop him. I mean, something's happening here that we will never know about because it's the case of now. Liverpool last week didn't get on. This week, when two of the players whose positions you deputised for, when they were injured or there were tactical substitutions, you can't get on. Regardless of whether you want to do it for sentimental reasons, the fact is you didn't get him on. So when are we going to find out what's going on? Because this is getting ridiculous now. I can understand you leave him out for tactical reasons or you bench him. But when is the situation where he can't even come on for a cameo? The last time he came on for a proper cameo was Ipswich. Away.
Yeah, for about 30 minutes.
Yeah, and once one of the worst teams I've ever seen in Premiership history. Ipswich were pathetic. In fact, and the reason why I feel justified to call them pathetic, because I'll tell you one thing, as bad as Leicester and Southampton were, at the Emirates, Leicester and Southampton gave us the game. Even away from home at King Power Stadium, Leicester City gave us the game. It was pathetic. It was like a training match, and that's when you brought him on. It coincides now with the Leicester game. That's when we thought Ethan was finally finding his feet. But something's going on. This is something where his man management has to come to the fore because right now there's going to be no prisoners. I just spoke to a journalist just now. I won't name him. And I said, we need a new manager. And you know what he said? Rather than lambast me, he said, not yet. His words were, you're wrong, not yet. And I said, come on, we need a new manager now. He went, maybe give it a year. Now, a year ago or 2 years ago, I would have been told, don't be so stupid. Stop being a child. Be careful what you wish for and be grateful for what you got. That journalist, a seasoned, respected journalist, has just told me, not yet. What does that say?
And I know who that was because I was sat backstage when you said it. Yeah, I'm not going to say who it was either, but it's not the usual ones, guys.
What does that say about this season? And let's look at the points. A lot of people had a go at me and said, "Oh, Ken was talking rubbish because apparently I misquoted Arteta." All right, I'm going to come up with some facts. We've got 71 points. If we win next week, we'll get 74 points. Now, in previous season, that was only good enough to get into the Champions League, i.e. if you finish third or fourth. Now, we got 74 points, and we're probably going to finish second. In essence, we are what I feared we'd be. That we are not actually a team that could challenge for big trophies. We're actually a Champions League team because the points total tells me that that's the level that we're at. The fact that we've drawn 14 games, the fact that we've won less games than Man City, tells me that this is a side is on the level of the Arsene Wenger sides in the early Emirates years, where we weren't getting 80 points, we're getting 74 points, because this is the barometer that we were told to measure our success. One bloke who we do debates with or podcasts with says that we should praise Arteta and we should measure it on the fact we've got 84 points in 2023 and last season's got 89. Well, if we win our next game against Southampton, which we're going to do, we got 74 points. Now tell me how that is progression. How it's not a regress? How's not a regression? Now,
but it's unprecedented circumstances that need to have context, Kenny, because our manager has told us no other team, guys, no other team with the circumstances and the context of how we played this season could have. I don't even know where they'd be. He said pitch side. I don't even know where they'd be. Yeah, he is bullshit, but there was 40,000 people, 40,000+ people there clapping him.
Yeah, but he's talking absolute nonsense, because the reason why I can say that with great succinctly, and I could say it with great sincerity, is that I've seen us all season. We didn't have these injuries for the first few games of the season. In fact, we were actually routinely praised because we had some hard games, home and away, against the big sides, and we came through them. I didn't see us mention injuries then when we went to White Hart Lane and won. I didn't see us mention injuries. We went to Villa Park and won. I didn't see us mention injuries when we should have beaten Man City, but we dropped points because Man City just pummeled us.
And we switched up on a corner, and they took a quick corner.
Well, do we have significant injuries, with the exception of Odegaard, when we played Liverpool at home? No, we didn't. The fact is that we haven't been at the same level we should have been, and the reason, and because of that, we finished way behind Liverpool. Injuries had nothing to do with it. Was Saka playing when we beat Man City 5-1? Was Saka playing when we beat PSV 7-1? Was Saka playing in all the other games where we advanced?
Kenny, forget that for 1 second, yeah? I'm sitting there watching Barcelona to a full stadium, yeah? Right? With Wojciech Szczesny holding 3 trophies.
It's not even their stadium. It's not even their stadium. It's a temporary stadium.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying. Right? And it's full. They're doing the lap of honour. We did a lap of shame. This team, yeah, and when you're talking about injuries, that's why I brought it up. Wojciech Szczesny was retired, smokes more cigarettes than I do every day. Yeah. And he's just done a domestic treble. That's the first goalkeeper to Stegen has been out all season, just come back and he played today. They lost. Right? Either way, it didn't matter. Right? They had their 2 CDMs, Bernal and Casado, out all season, ACLs. They've had Kounde out. They've had Balde out. They've had Jamal out for 2 months. They've had Dani Olmo, the only signing, out multiple times this season. They've had Christensen out. They've had loads of injuries. Frankie de Jong's been out. Gavi's been out most of the season. And they've still won a treble.
I could go one better.
We're in 1 season, first season of that manager. No excuses, mate.
I could go one better. Let's not forget, the team that has just replaced their manager with Xavi Alonso had Militao out for the season. Danny
Carvajal.
They had Danny Carvajal out.
Alaba out. They've had Camavinga out. They've had Jude out for a few times.
They've had too many in and out of sides.
Yep.
Yet his punishment wasn't sympathy for missing players. It wasn't sympathy for having a few decisions go against them. His punishment was the sack, because he didn't maintain the standards of last season when they did the double of La Liga and the Champions League. That's how a big club operates. Yeah. We're not a big club in terms of our minds. We're not a big club in terms of like the way we conduct ourselves. We conduct ourselves as a basic mid-table club, which is basically how we conducted ourselves under Terry Neal and Don Howe. I thought we were past that situation. I thought our fans demanded that Arsenal as the third biggest club in the country, win silverware. Clearly, I've been told that maybe I should go on Championship Manager or Football Manager, because at the end of the day, it seems like I'm in a minority of fans who demand high standards. Now, people say Standards FC, they're going to mock me, call me names, but this is another season without silverware. Yet all we've got. All we've got is excuses over injuries and bad luck. And look what we've done since then. Yeah, since then. But the fact is that you regress anyway. The table don't lie. Yeah, injuries are factual. But that wasn't the reason why we finished 15 points beyond. We finished 15 points beyond what we're going to finish 15 points potentially what we had last season. That isn't the reason why Liverpool won the title with a month to go in this season. The reason why we finished 15 points behind where we were last season, and the reason why we're finishing Liverpool won the title at a canter, is because we never competed. We were never good enough. Even when arguably,
Kenny, we've never been top of the league all season.
Yeah, and that's
not even one day.
And that says it all. And that says it all. That means we haven't maintained the same standards that we maintained the last 2 seasons. And let's not forget, the high standards that we maintained the last 2 seasons wasn't good enough. Anyway,
Facts.
So
Facts.
so if you regress in terms of your standards, your application, your performances, especially in game, then you're going to get what you deserve. And this is what players have to do. Thank God Declan Rice isn't using injuries, and he says that we just haven't been good enough. Well, that I expect that from him. But what I don't expect from Declan Rice is in the 90th minute of a football game, when you're about to take a corner, instead of making your own mind up because you're an experienced player, I don't expect you to look over Nicholas Jova and ask him what you need to do. You're meant to be an England captain in waiting. You're the West Ham captain that picked up their last trophy, their first trophy in 43 years, and at a corner routine in 90 minutes, you're asking Nicholas Jova what you need to do. Are you bloody mad?
Yeah, but they're shit scared. They're petrified of the manager. They're petrified of the manager, mate. They're petrified of the manager. He's a control freak.
Yeah, but even now, I'm watching a lap of honour. I'm
no, that lap of shame, Kenny. I'm watching a lap of honour. They've got 3 trophies in their hands.
Yeah, but even so, the fact is, I'm looking at it and I'm seeing disenchanted faces. I've seen the only player who we know is leaving that wanted to be part of this was Jorginho. He got all his family together and he was trying to ask for a picture. Kieran Tierney weren't interested.
Saliba, mate, he's gone. He couldn't be asked. He was seething, mate.
He was sick. He couldn't be bothered. Saliba, didn't look disenchanted. And Wanyeri, poor guy. I mean,
and Skelly. Skelly was the same, mate. None of them 4 were jumping around, smiling, high-fiving each other, mate. None of them.
No. Skelly was Skelly's mum. I could see Skelly's mum and Wanyeri having a chat with Wanyeri's family, which he only had 2 family members there, which is quite sad. But to actually be enthralled by his season, thinking they're going to make progress, to see him be treated like this, questions will be asked, because at the end of the day, if you take off your number 7, you take off your number 8, and the guy that's deputising can't get a game, there's something wrong. We are allowed to ask questions, because at the end of the day, it can't be just the fact that he basically disobeyed managerial instructions during a match. And he didn't do it on purpose. He just did it because he hasn't got the experience to be able to, try and win the game and then track back. It's something you learn as you go along. You're asking, not everyone's like Miles Lewis-Skelly, who's an 18-year-old, but has got a football brain of a veteran. Everyone's got that in their locker. Some 18-year-olds have to learn on the job. And yeah, it's a harsh lesson, but to continually punish him when, me, I just talk about the football. I couldn't care less whether it's personal or not. But when I'm beginning to ask questions, I'm thinking, hang on here, something's going on there. It ain't right. And at the end of the day, we need a big summer. The reason why I say we need a big summer, because I'm going on a bit, but I'm going to tell you right now, we need to get this recruitment right. And if that means selling one of our defenders, selling Martinelli, selling Odegaard, if that means we get better players, and not just better first-team players, but substitutes who can come on and become an alternative, and we tweak the way we play, then I'm all for that. But the one thing I'm not all for, unfortunately, and I know I sound like a broken record, I do think that this guy's cycle of management is over for footballing reasons and logical reasons. You can't no manager in Europe gets this long at a big club without a return. He's had the money, he's had the support of the fans, he's had the support of the media, he's had the personnel, and so you can't say that he hasn't been given a fair crack of the whip. Maybe it's someone else's time, because at the end of the day, we can't be and I don't want to hear people saying, what if he gets 94 points but still doesn't win the league?
Nobody
cares. The same thing. Nobody cares.
Pellegrini got sacked from Real Madrid on 96. Fuck him. Kenny, listen. It's going to go round and round and round again, yeah? But listen.
Hey, we're going to have this conversation next year.
We'll be back again tomorrow. I'll get home safely, mate. I'll share your posts on Insta. Kenny Ken 1972. Always love Kenny. And we'll chat tomorrow, mate. Get home safe. Love you, mate.
Oh, love you loads.